This video is from my English professor at YouTube. I am Nuala Mary Linka, aka Nunu, your friendly teacher guide. This video is part of a series documenting sources in an essay. There are 7 videos in this series, and we are watching number 2. What is a quote, and why does an essay need quotes? What is a quote, and why does an essay need quotes? In an essay, a writer's job is to support the thesis, the writer's overall opinion about the essay topic. A writer uses quotes, what experts say about an essay topic, to support the thesis and illustrate facts and ideas related to the essay topic. In other words, quotes are the proof that a writer uses to try to make the argument that is the thesis, the writer's opinion, seem valid. Your opinion without quotes to support it is just an opinion. And hey, everybody's got an opinion. Here are examples of 2 quotes at the bullet points here. From this point in the video, you may wish to pause, to go back or forward, so you can absorb this information. Now, you probably have questions about the information in the parentheses here. And these are parenthetical citations, and they are the topic of video 5. A quote needs 4 things. 1, a signal phrase to identify A, the source, the author of the quote, and B, the source's area of expertise. What makes a source worthy of quoting? 2, an explanation of what contention or idea the source helps to support or illustrate via the quote. 3, an interpretation of the language of the quote, if it will not be clear to most readers, such as the 17th century English in a passage from a Shakespeare play. 4, a parenthetical citation identifying A, where the quote occurs in a text if this information is available, and B, who is being quoted where and when if this information is not in the signal phrase. And here are examples of 2 quotes at the bullet points right here and here. And you're probably wondering, why is this quote like this? Why is it formatted this way, separately from the rest of the text? Well, this is a block quote. A block quote is a quote that is 4 or more lines. It is indented 5 spaces from the left margin, placed in its own paragraph, and does not have quotation marks. Block quotes are the topic of video 4. Now, you're probably wondering about this name here in the parenthetical citation. It's the last name of the writer because we have not introduced the writer here in the signal phrase. And that's so we can find the writer in the works cited. Gordon, his last name Gordon, we'll find it in the works cited, which is in alphabetical order. But you'll learn about the works cited more in video 6. What information should be in a signal phrase? Well, most teachers will tell you you need these 5 pieces of information. 1, the complete name of the source, Paulo Freire, or the National Assessment of Educational Progress with its acronym NAEP. 2, the source's area of expertise. Freire is a respected academician or noted educator. The NAEP gathers and publishes student success statistics for the U.S. Department of Education. 3, the title of the text, quotation marks for articles and italics for titles of books, CDs, blogs, movies, TV shows, journals, websites, magazines, and newspapers. 4, publication date, day, month, and year, if available, or the year. And 5, the container where the text is published, such as the New York Times for an article. Now, do you always need all of this information in a signal phrase? The answer is no. And we have 2 examples right here where all of this information is not included. And why is that? If a source is minor in an essay, quoted briefly and just once, use only key pieces of information to A, establish the source's credibility, and B, enable the reader to identify the source in the works cited and locate the quote in the text if location information is available. The text is paginated or divided into labeled sections. And so here we have examples of how we would find this information in the works cited. We have Gortz's last name right here. She's in the works cited. And we have Paulo Freire, and he is here. And also, we have the article title for Gortz's quote, and it's not included in the signal phrase, and that would be if she's a minor quote. So we would find it here, all of that information. And that, of course, is in video 6, the works cited. Introduce a quote in any order that reads well. So here we have examples of 4 quotes from an article by Ryan Park. He's an Ivy League educated lawyer, and we can introduce the quote with the 5 pieces of information if Park is not a minor source in an essay. If we're going to quote him more than once, we can introduce him in any way that makes sense, and we also don't have to have one sentence. This quote here has 2 sentences, so we can do a few sentences to introduce the source. Super famous sources, people. If a source is a person who is well known throughout the world, such as William Shakespeare, and there is a reasonable expectation that most readers will be familiar with the source, then you can refer to the source by last name only or by the name popularly used to refer to the source. If the text is equally famous, then you do not have to provide a publication date for the text in your essay. However, the full name of the source and the text publication date must be in the works cited. And we have an example here of a quote by Shakespeare in which we use only his last name because he's so famous. And there's a reasonable expectation that most people will know who he is. So here we see, of course, the name Shakespeare will tell us that this is William Shakespeare, and the date Sonnet 116 was published, which was 1609. Okay, and the works cited again is in video 6. One other thing about this example shows how to interpret the language of a quote, the 17th century English of Shakespeare. So you may wish to go back in this video and review this quote. Now we have 3 rules about quotes. So we have the quotes here. You may wish to pause the video and study them. And here are the rules. Number 1, if you introduce a source that is an organization in a signal phrase, use the complete name of the organization followed by its acronym. The National Center for Education Statistics, right after this, NCES. Then refer to the source by its acronym only, NCES. Number 2, if you introduce a source that is a person in a signal phrase, use the person's complete name, Paulo Freire. Then refer to the source by last name only, Freire. 3, never write that a source talks or says in a signal phrase if the source you're quoting is a text, a written work. Use powerful and original action verbs to introduce a quote from a source. A source writes, describes, details, assumes, argues, contends, asserts, praises, criticizes, explores, discusses, ponders, analyzes, engages in inquiry about, points out that. More lessons about introducing sources and quotes. We have 6 quotes here that you can study and learn from. And so how do we learn? We study. So let's do that. Pause the video, go back, look at all of these 6 quotes. This video is part of the series Documenting Sources in an Essay. There are 7 videos in the series. We have been listening to and watching the second video, What is a Quote and Why Does an Essay Need Quotes? This video is from my English professor at YouTube. I am Nuala Mary Linka, aka Nunu, your friendly teacher guide. I hope that this video was useful to you.